Hi, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today let's learn about the famous American writer, Ernest Hemingway. Ernest Hemingway, 1899-1961. An American novelist, short story writer, journalist, and a sportsman. He was born in Oak Park, Illinois, USA. His parents, Clarence Edmonds Hemingway, who was a physician, and Grace Hall Hemingway, musician and a voice teacher. Siblings had five siblings. Ernest was the second of six children. He was raised in a comfortable upper-middle-class household in a suburb of Chicago. His father encouraged outdoor activities like hunting and fishing, which influenced Hemingway's later work. Hemingway attended Oak Park and River Forest High School. He was a good student, but he dropped out after high school to enlist in World War I. Hemingway did not attend college. Instead, he began working as a reporter for the Kansas City Star at the age of 17. Early journalism taught him the economical and straightforward style that influenced his prose. In 1918, he volunteered to service in World War I as an ambulance driver for a Red Cross in Italy. He was seriously wounded and awarded the Italian Silver Medal of Bravery. This experience influenced his views on war and life. Personal life. Hemingway was married 4 times. Harley Richardson, Pauline Puffer, Martha Gallon, and Mary Welsh. He had 3 sons, John, Patrick, and Gregory. Hemingway is known for his adventurous lifestyle. Was an avid hunter, fisherman, and a bullfighting enthusiast. His personality was often described as macho and rugged. Yet he suffered from deep bouts of depression and illness later in life. He struggled with alcoholism throughout much of his adult life. His major works, novels, The Sun Also Rises, 1926, A Farewell to Arms, 1929, For Whom the Bell Tolls, 1940, The Old Man and the Sea, 1952. His short story collections include In Our Times, 1925, Men Without Women, 1927, The Snows of Kilimanjaro and Other Stories, 1961. And his non-fiction works include Death in the Afternoon, 1932, which is about a bullfighting. Then Green Hills of Africa, 1935, is a safari memoir. A Movable Feast, posthumously published in 1964, a memoir of his years in Paris. Now let's analyze some of the key themes in his works. War and heroism. Reflections on courage, honor, and the futility of war. We can see in works like A Farewell to Arms, For Whom the Bell Tolls, etc. Then the idea of the lost generation. Disillusionment of post-World War I youth, as is seen in the novel The Sun Also Rises. Nature and outdoors. The struggle between man and nature, often in a symbolic or existential manner, as is seen in The Old Man and the Sea. Masculinity and stoicism. Emphasis on grace under pressure and a code of personal honor. death and mortality, frequent exploration of death, sometimes heroic, sometimes inevitable. Love and loss, often tragic or complicated romantic relationships. Now let's analyze his writing style and literary significance. Hemingway is known for his concise economical prose that is called the iceberg theory or theory of omission, where much is implied beneath the surface. Influenced by journalistic writing, minimalistic but powerful language. He is considered one of the most influential writers of the 20th century. Now his legacy and present importance. Hemingway helped define modern American literature and a narrative style. His novels remain widely read and studied in schools worldwide. Influenced many writers including Raymond Carver, Hunter S. Thompson, and others. His adventurous image and lifestyle contributed to the archetypes of the rugged masculine writer. The Ernest Hemingway Foundation promotes literary and historical preservation of his work and life. Now let's have a look at the honors and awards. Nobel Prize in Literature 1954, awarded for his mastery of the art of narrative, notably for the work The Old Man and the Sea. Pulitzer Prize for Fiction in 1953 for The Old Man and the Sea. Italian Silver Medal of Bravery for World War I service. Numerous honorary degrees and posthumous recognitions. Now let's discuss a political and social engagement of Hemingway. Hemingway's political views were complex. He was a committed anti-fascist, supporting the Republican side in the Spanish Civil War, which is depicted in the work For Whom the Bell Tolls. He worked as a war correspondent during Spanish Civil War and World War II. He supported various liberal causes, but was also known for a strong individualistic stance. His work often critiqued the absurdity of war and the loss of innocence. Now let's talk about the rare contributions and facts of Hemingway. Hemingway survived multiple plane crashes and other dangerous incidents during World War II and his travels. He was deeply influenced by his time in Paris in the 1920s as part of the Lost Generation literary circle, which included writers like Gertrude Stein, F. Scott Fitzgerald, and James Joyce. He developed a close friendship with F. Scott Fitzgerald. He was an early and an enthusiastic user of the modern typewriter for drafting. Despite his macho persona, his later life was plagued by mental illness, and he died by suicide in 1961. His hunting and fishing exploits helped popularize big game hunting and sports fishing in the mid-20th century. The iceberg theory has influenced not just literature, but also modern journalism and screenwriting. Hemingway's writing often featured autobiographical elements, blurring fiction and memoir. He used to box and train in boxing, incorporating themes of physicality and endurance in his works. His love of bullfighting was controversial. In the book Death in the Afternoon remains a definitive but a polarizing text on the subject. During World War II, Hemingway helped with the liberation of Paris in 1944. He kept pet dogs and was known for his love for animals. His style is often thought as the epitome of show don't tell narrative technique. Now let's discuss the major works written by Hemingway. First one, The Sun Also Rises, 1926. A group of disillusioned expatriates wander through past World War I Europe, searching for meaning in a fractured world. Jake Barnes, a wounded American journalist, and Lady Brett Ashley, a free-spirited woman, embody the lost generation's emotional and moral struggles. Themes of aimlessness, lost love, and a brutality of the post-war world permeate the novel. The next work, A Fable to Arms, 1929, set during World War I, American ambulance driver Frederick Entry falls in love with the British nurse Catherine Barclay. Amidst the chaos of war, the novel explores love, loss, and the futility of war, with war's harsh realities juxtaposed against the tender human connection. The tragic ending underlines the fragility of happiness during turbulent times. The next one, For Whom the Bell Tolls, 1940. Robert Jordan, an American fighter with the Spanish guerrillas during Spanish Civil War, faces the moral complexities of war and sacrifice. Themes of duty, honor, love, and death interweave as Jordan prepares a crucial mission against the fascist forces. The novel highlights the personal cost of political conflict and the shared human struggle. The next work, The Old Man and the Sea, 1952. Santiago, an old Cuban fisherman, engages in an epic struggle with a giant marlin, embodying dignity, perseverance, and a human endurance. The novel explores themes of pride, defeat, and indomitable spirit against nature's forces. It symbolizes the universal human quest for meaning despite inevitable loss. The next one, To Have and Have Not, 1937. Set in a Florida case during the Great Depression periods, Harry Morgan struggles to support his family through illegal activities. The novel examines economic hardship, social inequality, and moral ambiguity in desperate times. Harry's complex character reveals survival instincts amid societal collapse. The next work, The Garden of Eden, published posthumously in 1986. This posthumous novel explores themes of gender roles, identity, and creative freedom through the complex marriage of writer David Byrne and his wife Catherine. Their experimental relationship challenges traditional notions of love, sexuality, and control. The novel reveals Hemingway's more psychological and experimental side. The next work, Men Without Women, 1927, short story collection. A collection of short stories depicting male loneliness, courage, and vulnerability, often set against the war or wilderness backdrops. Stories like The Killers and In Another Country highlights themes of alienation and the harsh realities of life and death. The collection reflects Hemingway's iceberg theory and minimalism. The next work, The Snows of Kilimanjaro, 1936, a short story. This story follows a writer dying of gangrene in Africa, reflecting on his wasted potential and lost opportunities. It explores themes of regret, mortality, and the artist's struggle with creativity and meaning. The harsh African landscape mirrors the protagonist's inner desolation. The next work, Hills Like White Elephants, 1927, short story. Set in a Spanish train station, a couple's tense conversation about abortion reveals themes of communication breakdown and gender dynamics. The story's past dialogue and symbolism highlight ambiguity and unspoken emotional conflict. It is a classical example of Hemingway's subtle narrative style. The next work, Indian Camp, 1924, a short story. Young Nick Adams accompanies his father, a doctor, to deliver a difficult childbirth on a Native American reservation. The story deals with themes of birth, death, and an initiation into the harsh realities of life. It introduces Nick as a recurring Hemingway character navigating growing up. The next work, The Short Happy Life of Francis Macomber, 1936, a short story. Francis Macomber's African safari journey is marked by fear, courage, and a tragic climax that explores masculinity and a self-discovery. The story dissects themes of bravery, betrayal, and personal transformation. It is a gripping narrative on the complex series of human character. The next work, A Movable Feast, 1964, a memoir. Hemingway's nostalgic memoir of his 1920s Paris years portrays his interactions with other literary giants like Gertrude Stein and F. Scott Fitzgerald. Themes include the bohemian lifestyle, artistic growth, and the struggles of a young writer. It offers invaluable insight into the lost generation's cultural milieu. The next work, The Torrents of Spring, 1926, a satirical novella mocking the literary world and the American writer's attempts to imitate European modernism. It critiques pretentiousness and literary trends with a humor and irony. This lesser-known work shows Hemingway's playful side and a sharp wit. The next work, The Capital of the World, 1936, a short story. Set in Madrid, this story explores a young writer's dreams of bullfighting glory cut short by tragic reality. Themes include youthful ambition, disillusionment, and the dangers of romantic idealism. It reflects Hemingway's fascination with Spain and a bullfighting culture. The next work, The Killers, 1927, a short story. Two hitmen come to a small-town diner to kill a former boxer named Nick Adams, and others watch helplessly. Themes include fatalism, violence, and the inevitability of death. The story's tense atmosphere and sparse dialogue highlight existential dread. The next work, In Our Time, 1925, short story collection. This collection includes various short stories featuring recurring characters like Nick Adams, exploring war, nature, and human resilience. It marks Hemingway's early mastery of the iceberg theory, where much is left unsaid beneath the surface. Themes range from trauma to masculinity and survival. The next work, Winner Take Nothing, 1933, short story collection. Another set of bleak stories reflecting human failure, despair, and the search for meaning in a chaotic world. Stories such as A Clean, Well-Lighted Place delve into existential loneliness and the need for refuge. The collection deepens Hemingway's exploration of human psychology. The next work, Cross Country Snow, 1924, short story. Nick Adams and his friend George ski in the Alps, experiencing fleeting joy before returning to their complicated lives. Themes include youth, freedom, and the inevitable passage of time. The story captures moments of happiness amidst life's pressures. The next book, The Gambler, The Nun, and the Radio, 1933, a short story. Three distinct characters confront addiction, faith, and modernity in a Montana hospital. The story contrasts human frailty with hope and resilience. Hemingway explores the complexity of belief and the struggle for meaning. The next book, Fathers and Sons, 1933, a short story. A reflective story where a son grapples with his father's legacy and the passage of time. Themes include generational conflict, memory, and the idea of acceptance. It is a poignant meditation on family ties and mortality.